So your girl watched the Democratic debate yesterday. Thankfully, I had some beers with me, and I had a friend. So went pretty well. Went pretty great. We had a party. We were very concerned, and we both realized that we are hella on the side of Bernie and Warren, and we are hoping, I hope to God that they don't fuck them over like they did with Bernie in the last presidential election in 2016, because that was fucking bullshit. Like, Clinton should have not been the nominee, and this year it should not be Biden. Biden should not be the nominee. He doesn't have his own stance. He basically is still piggybacking off the fact that he was the vice president for Barack Obama. And he is playing for both sides. He's not playing for, and he's taking a wish-wash stance on almost everything. So I'm not a fan of Biden right now. I am definitely Bernie Warren. One of those two. Actually, if it was like one of them being president, the other one was a vice president. Oh my goodness, fucking capitalists are gonna, like, freak the fuck out and be like, oh no, the socialists taking over, which, ironically, they're not socialists. Bernie's, I think of all the candidates, Bernie's the closest to socialism you're gonna get, but he's still not a socialist. Like, people are just using that term to scare everyone else. Which is why I joke and say capitalist, because if you know anything about the free market and all that stuff, having too much of capitalism and too much of communism, or socialism in this situation, you're gonna have a bad time. Take the book Rapture, for instance, which is now one of my favorite examples of this, because they have like a whole laissez-faire system in place, and it goes to hell. It's a bad time for everyone, and I definitely recommend reading that book if you are interested in why I take the stance I do when it comes to why I'm not a fan of capitalism, and why I hate people who say I'm a communist, or people who are communists, because they're both dumb. You need the middle ground, fam, because otherwise you're gonna have a bad time. I digress by a lot, though. So watch the debate, all that stuff. And there were two things that really stuck out to me. So my friend that was watching it with me is living in Germany at the moment. Well, he's back home for a while, but he is in school in Germany. And so he's telling me, so as we're watching this, we're also chatting about, like, healthcare and all that stuff. And every time they bring up this hot take on being like, oh, you know, like, it'll be more socialized, or like instead of having like the private health insurance, then you have like public health insurance and all that stuff. And he was like, they're like almost every other first world country like has public health insurance, and nobody really likes their health insurance in the first place. Example that we both had was finding doctors, straight up. I know for me, personally, I have mental health stuff, so I have to go see counselors and psychiatrists. And when I was living down in Norfolk, I actually had trouble finding a psychiatrist because the ones that did take my insurance weren't taking patients. And the ones that didn't take my insurance were, but since they didn't take my insurance, it was going to cost me a whole lot more than the ones that did take my insurance. So it was a bullshit system. And you might say, oh, but Ray, that's just for mental health. That's different. Yeah, well, mental health and physical health should be the same fucking thing. And if you think otherwise, I will actually want to talk to you about that and have a nice conversation. Granted, I'm going to be telling you why you're wrong the entire time as someone that actually is going through this shit, like, personally. But, you know, I'll still have a conversation with you. I mean, that was one thing. And then, of course, Beto's hot take on taking away people's AR-15s. That was something that, on one hand, I don't 100% agree with. I don't agree with the whole taking guns away from people. I do agree on strengthening background checks and actually, you know, going through with the background checks we actually have. because we do have background checks as of right now. They're just, sometimes there are still loopholes, or people don't like go through all the steps that they're supposed to go through, and they're not enforced. That's the word, enforced. They're not enforced, which is fucking bullshit. But that, and then also like having universal gun control laws instead of them varying by state, having them be universal all around, because you might say, oh, but Chicago has like really strict background laws, or like gun checks and all that stuff, but people still get guns there. Yeah, because they bring them from across other state lines. Like, it's not like you cross a state and all of a sudden there's someone there being like, oh, did you bring any guns with you? That's not how that works, fam. Alright? That, and also the private selling of guns aren't as regulated as the public selling of guns. So, like, for instance, if you buy a fucking gun off Craigslist, they're not going to do all the checks that they're supposed to do in order for you to get the gun. So that's also another thing. I'm pretty sure the same thing goes for, like, gun shows and all that jazz, which is bullshit. Like, that, and also I don't really agree with I also, like, kind of want an assault rifle ban, but as I've heard from gun lobbyists and all that stuff, that one is kind of a tricky situation to get into, and I think we should first focus on mental health and the background check system first, before we start focusing on other things, like, you know, like banning certain guns. Well, that more than we already do. And no, none of this is an infringement on the Second Amendment, because even though the amendments are a thing, they are still subjected to change with the way, like, with how society works or grows and changes. Society grows and changes, so shall our laws, to fit with the times. I mean, like, if you think about it, I'm pretty sure there used to be, I'm pretty sure there was one amendment that was concerning privacy and all that stuff, but there's have been changes to that because, or like additions and stuff to it to fit with the technological age we have here. And well, same thing should happen with gun laws, is that we're having more advanced guns that can kill people faster and more efficiently than back when the amendment was first written, when you had fucking muskets that took about 20 years to goddamn load. And even then, you missed half the time. Like, they weren't reliable whatsoever. But now you have, like, weapons that literally an 18-year-old can go and buy and then mow down a school of children. So yeah, we probably should actually, like, update those gun laws so that they actually fit with the times. Because, you know, we don't really exactly have a well-regulated militia. We have the military and such, but we don't have a militia. There's a difference. And you can tell me, you know, but what about me and the boys and our little militia? It's not. So it's just my, hot takes. And, I think I ranted enough about this topic. I get very heated about these things I wanted to talk about since I watched the debate, which, was mostly a shit show. I'm pretty sure that Amy is an undercover cop, because she completely ignored anything about police brutality. Kamala rehearsed the shit out of her thing. Biden should not be president and needs to step down. Andrew, I forgot his name. Andrew is a fucking madman for advertising, like, how much he's gonna give money to families for, like, I don't remember how long of a period. And, Julian is a goddamn legend for the sass. Like, oh my god, he just, oh, it was a great time it was a great thing to have a drinking game with. So, those are my hot takes. And, yeah. Let me know what you all think, down in the comments below, just because I do like hearing your opinions and everything. I do like hearing what other people have to say, and this is kind of something that is kind of important, because we are in the worst timeline. We are in the cursed timeline right now. So, it's kind of more important than it has been in the past years to be involved in politics. This is when it's really important. So, yeah. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all later. Bye, lovelies. Oh, don't forget to watch my video that got posted today. Okay, bye, lovelies.